Genius Kids. Cultivating love for learning.
Lesson 16. Helen Keller. In the year 1880, a famous writer was born in Alabama, a place in America. She was the one who wrote a famous work titled as The Story of My Life. Her name was Helen Keller. When she was 19 months old, she became very ill, and after her illness, her parents found that she was blind. She was also deaf and she couldn't learn to speak because she wasn't able to hear other people's voices. For 5 years, the little girl lived in a dark and silent world. She was able to feel with her hands and she knew that other people moved their mouths to talk. She moved her mouth too, but she didn't know how to speak like other people, and it made her sad. Often, she cried and shouted with anger because she couldn't make people understand her. Word meaning: illness, sickness, deaf, unable to hear. She had to learn everything by feel and touch, but her parents did not know how to teach her. When Helen was nearly 6 years old, her father was told about a teacher called Anne Sullivan. She had learned how to teach blind and deaf children. Miss Sullivan came to live with Kellers. At first, she could not make Helen understand. She took the little girl around the room and made her touch things. She touched a chair and then she took Helen's hand and spelled the letter of the word chair on it in the deaf and dumb language. Then, she did the same for table. But Helen did not understand that Miss Sullivan was making words for her. Then, one day Miss Sullivan took her into the garden. There was a well in the garden. Miss Sullivan put Helen's hands in the cold water. Then, she spelled the word water into Helen's hand and suddenly Helen understood. Miss Sullivan was teaching her the name for this cold, wet something on her hand. Helen spelled the word water again and laughed and cried with happiness. She ran all around the garden asking the names of everything. She touched a flower and made Miss Sullivan spell flower into her hand. She touched everything in the garden and then ran into the house and touched other things. She learned to spell 30 words that day. Some of them were father, sister, teacher, door, etc. Helen Keller learned many new words every day and was always asking questions. She was soon able to write and also to read from books in Braille, specially made for blind people. Then, when she was 9 years old, she learned to speak. One day she spelled into Miss Sullivan's hand, "How do blind girls know what to say with their mouths?" "Please teach me to talk," said Helen, in symbols. Miss Sullivan taught her many things. Helen touched Miss Sullivan's face and mouth and said the same word. When she was 16 years old, she knew how to speak 5 languages, and when she was 20, she went to college. Word meaning: touched, be in contact with. Specially, of a peculiar or restricted kind. After graduating at the age of 24, she became a lecturer and writer and raised money for the blind and deaf. She died in 1968, at the age of 88. She has written many books. Helen Keller had won numerous awards, including the highest civilian honor of America for her social work. Word meaning: honor, glory, high reputation.
Like, share and subscribe.